Director of Early Childhood Education here at Irvine Nature Center in Owings Mills, Maryland. We have a lot of different things that we do here at Irvine Nature Center, but one of the things that I think attracts people the most here is our grounds, which is over 200 acres of beautiful hiking trails with a lot of different habitats, as well as our exhibit hall that is typically open to the public pre-pandemic times, and our outdoor classroom, which is right behind me. So let's go ahead and come take a look. Our kids love to come and hide in these bushes. They become fairy circles. They become caves or homes or stores, or they just become a quiet place for a kid that needs a little bit of solitude, a little bit of peace amongst all of the running around. In the winter, they see that it changes and it's not quite so hidden. But in the spring, there's this reawakening amongst the kids as they realize, oh, it's a new hiding place again, it's back. And they get all excited all over again. We're trying to introduce some more of these and grow them with different types of vines. We haven't gotten to that yet, but there's lots of different plants that you can plant to introduce archways or hidden spaces to hide as well. So when our outdoor classroom was first started, it was actually envisioned when Irvine Nature Center moved to this property over 10 years ago. And when the plans were drafted for the new exhibit hall, they made sure to have an outdoor classroom space as well. And since then, the outdoor classroom has changed a lot. It continues to evolve, just like the natural world. As you go outside with kids every day, that same little space changes based on the season, the weather, or the animals that come to visit it. And just like that, our outdoor classroom has changed a lot. So when we first started, we had definite ideas of where things were in definite places. So for example, we have our stage area, which is a wonderful place for groups to gather. If there's an animal that's coming to visit that we have here, or if we're doing a whole group activity, whether it's acting out a story or with some scarves and dancing and making music together, or it's just a place for kids to play and use their imaginations to put on their own show. So one of the funnest things to do with kids outside in any kind of space, but especially in a nature play space, is to provide opportunities for them to explore with art materials. And we will sometimes bring out paint or clay or things that we use typically as art materials, but our favorite thing to do is to use nature as its own art medium. And one of our favorite activities is mud painting. So this week, our preschool, we made mud paint together with just simple trowels and a bucket and some dirt, and we asked the kids, where can we find water? And they immediately thought about our outdoor classroom and our outdoor hand washing station, but it could have been a stream, it could have been a puddle from the day before, and mixing it together to find the correct medium that they liked. It was also a great opportunity to explore different vocabulary about the consistency and the color, and they just go to town painting. And some kids will actually make paintings, and others love to paint our posts or their hands or their faces and anything else, and it's mud, so it's totally fine where it goes. One of the biggest, most popular things is this tree right here, which we could not have planned. You know, Mother Nature provides where we need it, right? And this tree is a favorite climbing tree. If you get close to it, you can actually see that over the years, it has become so climbed and so loved that it's worn down from all of the many different legs that have climbed around it. One of the things that's really awesome to watch is that as children learn and grow and develop their gross motor skills and their planning skills, is they figure out different ways to climb up on it. So you'll see a toddler or a young preschooler figure out, how do I get up on this thing because it's still too tall for me? And what's great about having an outdoor classroom space is that you can provide elements that would naturally be there, but that can be used as loose parts for problem solving and to spark imagination. This is our little river. When it does rain, there is a good flow of water here, and it's wonderful to watch the children figure out ways to dam up the water or have it flow in different ways. Over here, we have our mud kitchen or mud lab. So these are actually 2 new mud pieces that were just built in April, I believe it was, maybe May. We decided to put in 2 just because it is such a popular place for the children to come play. There's another little climbing space of just a series of logs. And this is really wonderful for the smaller children or the children that don't feel like they have that confidence yet to tackle something bigger, because it becomes another way for them to practice their coordination and their physical gross motor skills without being quite so high off the ground. It's also really amazing because as kids are climbing, you'll also have those kids that don't see this as a climbing structure. They actually see this as a whole small world. And so those little naturalist minds come over and they start to look around, and then you'll hear calls of like, oh my gosh, fungus among us, come look. Or there's a toad living in here, or a roly-poly, or just the other day we found snapping turtles. So you never know what you're going to find hiding underneath these things. And what a great opportunity for these children and their families to see nature naturally taking over a place and using it as its home. And how do we use it, but also care for it at the same time? And so we teach our children, if you find an animal, be gentle, look for those animals that you shouldn't touch because they could hurt you, but then putting them back where we found them and returning any parts of their home, the log, gently back over where it was so that they can go back to feeling protected and safe like all of us want to. Kids love to feel hidden in, and it creates this world of this magic. And we want to provide children with those opportunities, as well as it becomes this open-ended play theme and story theme that they use. This is actually one of my personal favorite spots in the outdoor classroom. It has this amazing cavity. And years ago when I first came here, actually for a conference, there were 2 black rat snakes that had made this tree cavity its home. It is a wonderful place to hide, and the kids come up with all sorts of fun ideas about who they think is living inside there. What's neat is that the kids will take things from different areas and use them in different ways. Like I mentioned before, this place has seen a lot of variations and a lot of things change. One of my favorite things about any natural play space is climbing. Kids want that risk. They need that risk. It's imperative for their sense of balance, developing their sense of coordination, and that sense of self-confidence and problem solving and being able to evaluate what is safe and not. And so we provide children with areas to climb in various different ways. This is our current log climbing space. All the logs are actually sourced from either trees right around this area or other places on our property that have fallen naturally, or trees that needed to be cut down because they pose hazards, and then we deliberately save them to keep them here. We used to have this giant, beautiful, amazing root ball. And of course, over 10 years, it decomposed and decomposed, which was an amazing thing to experience with the children, and for them to return to and see how it changed. But it meant that eventually it was just a pile of decomposed, rotting wood. And so we're in the process of trying to find another really big root ball. So if you are planning an outdoor classroom type space or nature play space, make sure you make those connections with people who source those things, as well as the really big, heavy equipment to move them into their place. Because that's actually the biggest problem, or the biggest hurdle, is how do you get that giant, heavy piece into the place that you want? And thinking about, oh, there's a fence there. That big piece of machinery can't actually move into this space unless we remove the fencing. Thanks so much for joining us for our tour of our space. We encourage you to come visit us. We're open. Our outdoor classroom is open for exploring on Saturdays and Sundays. And don't forget to check out some of the pictures and other documents.